प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्.
The each category was following that particular work. Now suppose somebody is very good artist, but because of attraction for medicine or for IT, they will take to that branch. Desire for money, desire for position, they will corrupt the... Unless we have enough of honor, or say more or less equal honor and respect for all the kinds of work the society needs. Society needs everything. There is nothing less important. It is just like the head and the foot. I mean, the legs are also equally important like the upper part of the body. So society needs everything. But what happens is that with time, some categories predominate over the others. And so they start looking down upon others. That is the corrupting feature in the society, which created the trouble with the caste system. That is normally left to itself. It is very natural that a musician will try to marry a musician. A professor will try to marry somebody in the educational profession. An artist will try to marry some artist. A man given to manual labor will not generally marry a Raja or a professor, the Kshatriya or anybody, the fighter, the military. The military people also you will find that they like to have the alliance from the military people. This is very natural. So what happens after a few generations, that Varna becomes Jati. Varna means the quality difference. Because of this choice of marriage and the two similar qualities getting married, that particular qualities get enhanced in the next generation. You will find where 2-3 generations of musicians are there, the children will start singing almost in the pregnancy itself. Coming out, they will be very much given to music, and so it becomes Jati. Not only, even in becoming Jati also there is no problem, provided they had the mutual respect and they understand the comprehensiveness of the need for everything in the society. Suppose the traders were not there, will we be able to live? We will not get food, we will not get the clothings, we will not get anything that is necessary for life. So how can the Kshatriya or the Brahmana look down upon the Vaishya? Suppose there was nobody to do the manual service also, will we be able to satisfy our life? So it is a selfish way of, which is the trouble everywhere. The society undergoes trouble because of our selfishness. We don't have a comprehensive vision, and we don't have mutual respect. From there the trouble comes. Otherwise the Varna division is meant for excellence. That is why our country excelled in music, excelled in Vastra Shilpa, that is clothes, excelled in literature. There is no other country where everything has been written in poetry, as in Sanskrit. That mathematics, astrology, astronomy, everything is written in poetry. And that too, it was going on from mouth to mouth without writing also. There is Panini grammar, which is even now recorded unparalleled in the whole world. There is no such grammar of that stature. So this excelling possible because of the guna, similar gunas getting married, and that enhancement taking place in the family. But now it is not like that, it is everything has got mixed. So there is no clear cut that kind of a difference also. You cannot hardly make any difference. Now these are all general differences. There can be always exception. The Shastras will give always exception, and the most shining exception is Valmiki and Vyasadeva. Valmiki was a Shudra in a way. In the forest he was. And Vyasadeva also was from Matsaganya, from a fisherman community. So it's a mixture of, like that you will find various names that there who, even people from those who are not undergoing any varnashrama also, they also became jnani and all. There are so many examples. It is only as a general category it is given for the society. Now the most important point on which this is based is that everybody is same in their ultimate inmost level. If that we are aware of, then no dishonor or looking down upon or discounting can come. If you are aware that in our ultimate reality all of us are the same. Yesterday I had given the example at the end that the electricity is coming, it is expressing as the light, as the sound, as a movement in the fan, and so many other things. Everywhere it is electricity. Somewhere it is light, somewhere it is sound, somewhere it is movement. Why did I say? Because of Swabhava, to explain the Swabhava. In Bhagavad Gita, Swabhava is explained that Swa means our real self. Bhava means the expression of the real self, of our real identity. So, Swabhava has got two aspects I explained yesterday. One is that the self we come to know is absolutely, there cannot be any difference, because when in the self experience, in Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is no world, no guna, nothing. It is beyond all gunas. It's the pure consciousness, Atma, which is not a material object, which can be known only as the amness in us. You cannot know the consciousness, this is consciousness. Even thinking like that also is wrong there. So, there is no difference. I gave the example of Ramakrishna Dev and Vivekananda. The self they experienced, both experience the same. But how that self expressed through Ramakrishna's body-mind complex and Vivekananda's body-mind complex, that is poles apart, absolutely different. You can take any example of the sense, it is different. Because that expression depends on the body-mind personality. The same consciousness expressing through different body-mind personality will be different. Now, after discussing that what are the actions of a Brahmana Svabhava, naturally what he will do. It is the natural Svabhava when we are saying the self experiencing through the personality naturally. Where we have desires and other things, ambitions, etc., that natural expression is hindered. Suppose just now, as I said, an art-oriented person taking to completely different profession or so, it is the unnatural, because of the desire for money or desire for something else, position, etc., they are not taking to their own Swabhava. So it is getting deviated from there. If the society had given equal importance to all these, then the artist would have taken to art. If the money also was same, when we took to our teaching profession, I was getting only 250 rupees a month. Whereas our colleagues, those who did not do PhD, those who took to banks and IAS, but mostly banks, they were getting at that time 2,500 rupees, 10 times our salary. So who could take to teaching at that time? Normally nobody, their restrictions, because I did not have any other burden I could take to, otherwise I would not have been able to take to it. So it depends on the society giving equal respect and value to all the pursuits. Then only people can be taking to the natural ways, the natural Swabhava. Otherwise Swabhava cannot be preserved. Now the ideal case for a society is to do your Swakarma, your Swadharma, your Swabhava. That is manifestation of the Swabhava is the ideal case. So here we have yesterday studied that what is the Brahmana karma, what is the Kshatriya karma, what is the Vaishya karma, and what is the Shudra karma. Everything we have done. Next verse he is saying, Sve Sve Karmani Abhirataha Samsiddhim Labhate Naraha Swakarma Nirata Siddhim Yatha Vindati Tachunu. He says that remaining engaged in their own natural Swabhava Karma, in their natural action, people can attain Samyak Siddhi. Samsiddhi means Samyak Siddhi. Nobody should doubt that my natural vocation, my natural activities will not allow me to go to the ultimate level of spiritual emancipation or freedom. Bhagavad Gita specializes in that. It says that Swakarma Nirata Siddhim Yatha Vindati Tachunu. Remaining engaged in our own natural activity, how a person attains ultimate final goal, I will tell you, you listen to it. This shloka is that. Then he will say. In the next verse he says that Yatah pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tam abhyatya siddhim vindati manavaha. In one verse he has said that what is to be done. He says from where this all the creation has arisen. Where is it? Arisen means it is also, we have discussed that it is not a parinama srishti. They are all appearing in the consciousness, in the Atma, in the Brahman. So from where the whole creation has come, pravittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam, who is spread everywhere. Actually, it is not spread. The whole universe is appearing in that consciousness. So he is everywhere and beyond also. If we worship that truth, swakarmana, our own karma, with the own karma, if we worship that truth, then we attain siddhi. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. People attain siddhi or success by worshipping that truth, the ultimate truth, with what? Not with flower or chappan bhog or anything, with their own activities, with their own actions. What kind of action? Whatever is natural to them, with that action. Even if it is not natural, this will apply. Now, how it happens, we have to understand. In application, what does it mean? Bhagavad Gita has been right from the beginning pointing out that Sangam and Sangatyaga, Phalatyaga. Sangatyaga, Phalatyaga. In various ways it has been discussing. We said that this Sangatyaga is actually what we call ego. That is the doership. Sangatyaga means actually doership. I am doing. I have done this. I have to do this. These are all Sangha. That I is related to that. I have done something sinful, so we feel depressed. I have done something great, we feel elated. Always that I cannot do this or I have to do this. I have this duty. So that ego part is the Sangha. And Phala part is, Phala Kamana, I said that it is not the objective result of whatever we are doing. Because there we cannot do anything. Whatever we are doing, correspondingly will be the causality, according to causality will be the objective result. You cannot renounce that at all. Phalatyaga is that by getting the result, finally I will become happy. That means the basic delusion that I will become happy or fulfilled by getting something from the world. That is the result they are pointing out. Bhagavad Gita only speaks about the internal result, not the external result. External result will follow causality. If you do the work well, the result also will be well. You are not supposed to renounce it after that. What you have to renounce is the I will become happy. So when it is not done properly, you become depressed. When it is done, you get the desired result, you become elated. So you undergo the sukha dukkha trouble there. And you are not happy till the result is had. You become anxious about the result, whether I will get the desired result, whether I will become this, I will become that. So all that is actually taking away your attention from the work. All these things we have been discussing. Now, if we can keep this away, that Sangha and the Phalakamana, it means doership and enjoyship. Phalakamana means that I enjoy the happiness. So that is the enjoyship. and doership is the ego. I will do this, I will do that. See, Ramana Maharshi has said that, how do you know that you have surrendered? Says, Ishvara arpitam nechaya kritam. That means when you don't do following your desire, it is not a desire motivated karma, desire motivated action, then it becomes surrendered. In Bhagavad Gita, it is yajna has been defined in the manner that normally in Vedic yajna we do yajna only with desires, to fulfill some desire. But in Bhagavad Gita, yajna has been given a completely reverse concept. What is that? When you do anything without the desire, then it becomes a yajna. Yajna in 3.9, I think. No? 3.9, 3rd chapter, 9th verse. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadattham karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samacharet. See, again mukta sangaha is coming. He says, yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. We are getting bound by our actions because we are always looking for the phalakamana and the ego. Because of the ego and the sangha, we are getting bound by our activities. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is saying repeatedly, the activities are not to bind us, but the activities have to be taken as an instrument for liberation. In Upanishadic practice or Kevala Jnana Nishtha, we don't get engaged in the activities. But here Bhagavad Gita is saying, no, you get into the activities and activities will take you to the ultimate goal, provided you change your attitude with which you are engaging in the activities. That means normally we are active by the desire motivated actions only. You do it as whatever to be done as it comes, never thinking that this will make me happy. So everything you will do without the anxiety, without the phalakamana, but your focus will be entirely on the activity and you will do the best possible, you will get the best possible result. But the result sometimes may not be what you are wanting. So he says, what he says is the yajna. That means by the whole universe, if you look at the whole universe, the galaxies are getting born, the galaxies are dying, the earth is going around the sun, the moon is going around the earth, the plants are growing, the flowers are blossoming. Everywhere, is there any desire? It is all natural activity everywhere. Sahaja. Sahaja means natural, which is born with its own birth. The activities are sahaja. They are all desire free. Like that, we human beings also, with our qualities, our selection of our resolution, our willpower, with whatever qualities have been given, we can remain active naturally without any desire. This desire motivation is coming because we are under the delusion that something from the world will make us happy. It is so simple. Actually, the desires are not making us happy. It is keeping us disturbed. The moment we get the desired object, the desire is eliminated and that makes us happy. So it is the elimination of the desire which makes us happy. The delusion is that if I get the desired object, I will become happy. But has anybody become happy in the world by getting his desired object? Till another desire comes, he is happy. Once the desire is fulfilled, we are happy. Till another desire or anxiety or fear comes in, then again we are not happy. So, he says that if we offer all our activities as in the yajna of the universal Lord, the whole thing is a yajna of the universal Lord. In that, whatever we can contribute, whatever we are made of nature, we have been given certain quality. There is a need for activity in the world as well as for my own life. And I do the activity, whatever to be done, as an offering to the yajna of the universal Lord. So, this is what he is meaning here again, although it has been discussed in 3rd chapter and later chapters also. That swakarmana tamabhyarcha yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamabhyarcha. we have to, that truth which is pervading the whole universe, which is there, the whole universe is appearing on that truth has to be worshipped with our own karma, whatever to be done. That's swakarma or swadharma or swabhava karma, whatever you may say. With the work we are doing, that work has to be done as a worship to that. Now, if we do it as a worship, then what happens to our mind? That means there cannot be any ego, there cannot be any phalakamana also. Why the ego is going? Guna guneshu vattanta iti matva na sajjate. You go to 14th chapter, 19th verse. Nanyam gunebhyah kartaram
अन्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं
yada drashtanupashyati
यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति
gunebhyascha param vetti
गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति
madbhavam sodhigacchati.
मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति.
Krishna says madbhavam sodhigacchati. That means he attains my status. That means whatever goal Krishna has attained by identifying his small atma with the universal atma, he also attains that. When the drashta, he sees nanyam gunebhya kattaram. Normally what we are seeing, that I as the constituted egoistic personality, I am doing this, whatever we are doing. But when the drashta, that means I see that it is all the play of the gunas. As the gunas are playing in nature, they are playing through my body-mind personality also. Whatever my body-mind personality is doing, they are also, the gunas are doing it. There is no karta, no doer beyond the gunas. It's all gunas play. That is what I call phenomenological vision. It's just a phenomena, as in the world the phenomena is going on, the gunas are playing. Like that in my body-mind personality, it is the gunas are playing. Nanyam gunebhyah kartaram yada drashta anupashyati. Generally, anupashyati means following our action, we find out that I am doing this. We are always projecting a karta behind that. Actually, it is the gunas are working with the gunas. The world is made of gunas. My body-mind personality is a product of the world. So it is also made of the gunas. It is an interplay of the gunas alone. Not only that, gunebhyascha param vetti. He sees something beyond the gunas, transcending the gunas. What is that? The I, which is the witness of this play going on. The universal play, which includes my body-mind personality also. There also, the whole universe is playing, it's a play of the gunas, and I am the witness of it. When he sees that, he attains my position, Krishna says. That means he becomes liberated. He attains the non-changing, imperishable truth. Now here also, saying that swakarmana tam abhyarcha, this is the meaning, that when we worship the ultimate truth with our own work, then we don't have any ego. We are not seeing any karta beyond the work that is being done. It is being done as the guna constitution. And there is no phala kamana also. The gunas are playing, the objective phala will be as usual. There is no question of I becoming happy also there. So kartri bhoktri bhava, the doership and enjoyership are the trouble. If they are eliminated, then our all work becomes worship to the universal Lord or to the ultimate truth. Is it understandable, or I am speaking something meaningless? Huh? Yes. Now you compare with yesterday's example, that the same electricity is, according to as far as electricity is concerned, it is all the same. Just like the Atma, it is the Svabhava of the electricity. Now as it is expressing through a light bulb, it becomes light. As it is expressed through an amplifier, it becomes sound. When it is expressed through a fan, it becomes a motion. Now the question is, the light thinks that I am light. It doesn't think that I am the electricity. The microphone thinks that I am producing sound. It doesn't think that I am the electricity. The electricity is the fundamental element there. The consciousness in these materials are the electricity. So it is only shifting their identity from this amplifier, bulb and fan to electricity. Do you get it? When I become electricity, others are all only guna. As guna is there, according to that it is manifesting different places. So I become the electricity alone. So like that we have to attain that soul, as I had given the example of the mirror. The light is coming from the top. Each mirror is having a reflected beam. You turn the mirror and with the reflected beam you see the world. But if the mirror thinks that this reflected beam is originating from me, is it right? It is not. The light is coming from there. So you turn the light, the reflected beam, to see where from it is coming. Original light, you find that it need not be with the reflected beam. That light is manifest by itself. So the reflected beam from each mirror, suppose the mirrors are colored, one is green, one is red, one is yellow. The reflected beam will be correspondingly colored. But when they discovered that actually the color is coming from the body-mind personality of the mirror, from the body of the mirror, but the original beam is colorless and I am that beam, then all the guna constitute, it transcends the gunas. This is the gunatita level of the knower. And this is how, whatever is your characteristic, whether you are a Brahmana or a Shudra or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, you have to transcend to that level where we are all the same. Now, if you see that this purity which comes from the removal of the ego, and that is Sangha and Phalakamana, that is ego and enjoyership, Bhogetcha. The enjoyership is the doership and enjoyership. Then what happens? The Sattva Guna, which was binding you by the Sukha and Jnana, Sattvika Sukha and Sattvika Jnana, those two bondages go and you become, the Sattva Guna becomes only a revelatory power. Rajoguna, which was giving you a fragmented vision of the world. Rajoguna, I said, it is desire-motivated activity. It is not just energy, but it is desire-motivated activity, which was coming from Trishna Sangha Samudbhavam. You should not forget, all these have to be remembered. So Rajoguna, the basis of Rajoguna is, I like this, I like that, this is mine, this is not mine. So always seeing the world in a fragmented manner, in a desireful manner, with the bhogetcha, that was the Rajoguna bondage coming in. Now, when it is relieved of that desired fragmented vision and corresponding generation of the ego and desire, that is desire, Sangha and Kama, then what happens to the Rajoguna? It's get liberated into the universal energy. That energy is pure energy. The whole universe is having Rajoguna. Without that, there cannot be an existence. In the nature, there is no Rajoguna bondage, ego, nothing is there. The whole nature is full of energy. That is the divine energy. So if we remove from our activities the ego and the Phalakamana, the Sangha and Phalakamana, then we simply land into the divine world of energy, the divine energy. We don't get, it never pollutes us, we become free with that energy. We work with that energy.